Welcome back to Geeks and Grounds, a monthly game club and weekly podcast where we play games and brew conversation together. I'm Jenny Wyndham.
And I'm Joel Thomas.
And I am here to conquer the Earth. Joel.
I'm certain that we will do it together.
Yeah. Hey.
You see what I did?
I wanted to make a bee pun, but I couldn't think of anything in time.
Too much buzzing around your head to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh.
Have to comb through all the options.
There you go. See, that's why you're here.
Well, you're the queen of all this stuff, so it makes
gosh.
sense. And we're killing it, man. What a great podcast. 10 out of 10, 5 stars.
Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you after the break. Goodbye. That was it. That's all we need. So for folks who are new to the podcast, or if you need a refresher, every week we deep dive into a game. Usually we play one game a month and we deep dive it piece by piece throughout that month. But this month we have changed things up. We've done a series of one-shots. This is the last in the series of 4 one-shots that we are doing, and it is called Serre, and I am so excited to talk about it because I think this is a really delightful, just easy way to finish off the month, especially considering, I don't know, I feel like this month has honestly been all over the place. My sense of time is kind of gone out the window again, a la 2020.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to play something short, sweet, and just heartwarming at the end of the day. So yeah.
Sweet is the word. I felt sweet. I felt like the world was just a bit sweeter after I finished it. I'm excited to chat through it and talk about all the warm fuzzies that came from this game.
Exactly. Me too. Before we do that, though, every week we always stop by the pastry case. Before we get into our deep dive, this is the grab bag of topics, industry news, what we've been up to. And today we're going to focus a little bit more on what we've been up to and also where we're going as Geeks and Grounds, because we're on the cusp of a little bit of a break. Very excited.
So
just
excited.
To have some time just to I don't know. There's a class on Mondays that I usually like to go to, but I usually opt out because we're recording. So I'm excited to have little opportunities to do things like that.
Yeah, I love it.
So housekeeping, we're taking a 2-week break. So for the next 2 weeks, no newsletter, no show. We will be back on the 15th with our July game, which is Deltarune chapters 3 and 4. We have already done chapters 1 and 2 last December. So if you'd like, you can use this time to replay chapters 1 and 2 or just listen to our discussion episodes. I'll link them in this week's newsletter. And I will also, I'm saying this out loud so that I can also remember for myself as I'm editing, I will get the Deltarune stuff up at the 1st of July. So that way, even though we're not officially having podcasts those first 2 weeks, we can still talk about the game and go through it together so that everyone's ready to enjoy it on the 15th when the first episode drops for chapter 3.
I'm so excited. And I think more than anything, I'm excited that we get to see Jenny play through these games for the first time. I know. every iteration of this game or types of game, you have always played so far in advance that it's like you're re-exploring places. Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited to see you play in this series that you're a huge fan of for the first time as you're uncovering and exploring it. It's really exciting.
I'm excited too, because I think, we've had chapters 1 and 2 for so long. Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm ready for the new stuff. I'm ready to just see where these theories that we have are actually going to lead us. Yeah. If we're right, if we're totally wrong. And I'm excited because Deltarune is sort of the game that Toby Fox, who's the lead developer, he's brought on a much bigger team than Undertale, and even the first chapters of Deltarune, I think the team has grown quite substantially. So it's really neat to see this person who predominantly was known as the solo developer bringing in other people and creating a studio team. And I don't know any of them personally, so I don't know what the dynamics are like, but it's just really nice to see that kind of evolve. And it seems like it's going pretty well. So, yeah.
I don't think I realized that. Was it the same for chapters 1 and 2, or is it this is where he's begun that kind of ramp up?
I am not entirely sure. I think it did start with chapters 1 and 2, but I think each subsequent chapter seems like more people have been brought in.
Cool.
And so I'd imagine like right now they're probably with the team that they're going to have for the remainder of the game, but small spoiler, I did start Deltarune chapters 3 and 4. So I have played some of it, and just the complexity of the mechanics that they're putting in, the details and the animation. It's just really exciting because it feels like it's the sum of all of their work.
Oh,
which
that's
is
awesome.
Like a really cool, it's like an expansion of here's what Toby can do with other people, and here's what other people are bringing into the world. And I think that's really special because I don't know, it's like Undertale's really good, but I feel like Deltarune is stronger because of it, because there's clearly more people and like voices coming into it. So yeah.
Man, what an impossible question. One we should definitely dig into during the show in July, but it's hard to even compare them because Undertale is so singular and how it kind of like created some of this space and these types of worlds. And I don't know, like I really enjoy Undertale to the point that like I don't think I'll ever forget it. And Deltarune chapters 1 and 2 I really loved, but like I don't know. We'll see how the story, like, it's hard until the whole story is done to know how I'm going to feel. But, like, as just a single unit, Undertale is just something special.
It is. I could honestly talk about Undertale. I could do an entire podcast just focusing on Undertale. Not an episode, like a actual full podcast, because I personally love it so much. So if anyone ever wants to talk Undertale with me, please hit me up. I will absolutely jump in. But yeah, I think it is hard to say because we don't have the end of the story. So, but I think the stuff that is being presented is really cool, and I think it has the potential to go a lot deeper.
I fully agree with that.
So it's exciting to be a part of like seeing it unfold, kind of like a TV show. I feel like with games, episodically released games don't usually do it for me, but Deltarune is.
You're in it.
I'm just in it. I'm just a fan. So you know what? Yeah, that's just it. I'm just a fan. That's why.
Perfect. Well, speaking of fandom, are we already in the pastry case? Can I ask you what you've been doing?
Yeah, I guess we are technically in the pastry case. I just wanted to do one last housekeeping thing. Just because we have that break, I wanted to get ahead of August because July is like a truncated month. July will be Deltarune chapters 3 and 4 each week. 1 week chapter 3, 1 week chapter 4. That's already July. That's fast. So I thought, just to remind everyone, the August game was already decided, voted on by the community. We are playing I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, which I'm very excited about because that is a great game. And it'll be my first time replaying it. And there is a lot of choices in that game. So I'm excited to make different choices. And I will have the game guide up for that early as well, just because everything happens at the end of summer so quickly. I figure just get everything out there. You all can manage your time because you're all grown and I don't have to tell you what to do. So
what a nice departure from like truly being a teacher versus just being a person who likes to facilitate great conversation.
Exactly. I'm like, y'all aren't middle schoolers. I don't have to check your homework. I don't have to report back to your parents.
I don't have to keep deodorant in my desk drawer.
Oh my gosh. Or confiscate Axe spray. The number
what's worse?
I know, honestly, the true catch-22.
An impossible choice.
It really is. The number of Axe just like spray cans I had at one point. Like,
yep.
Oh man. But yeah, what I have been up to in addition to already diving into Deltarune is I have started a book called The Stardust Grail.
Ooh.
It is a sci-fi novel by an author named Yume, and I'm going to do my best to pronounce this, Yume Kitase. Really, right?
Oh,
the cover is beautiful.
This cover is stunning.
And it's interesting because this is not a premise I'm usually drawn to, but for some reason, just something about this book drew me to it. It's about an art thief who has previously stolen artifacts back and return them to the alien civilizations that they originally belonged to. But she has gone into hiding, and basically she has, an old friend comes back and says, "Oh, but here's one more job for you. Do you think you can do this?" And it's just like sort of Indiana Jones meets a little bit of Star Wars meets just really fun fiction. Yeah, so far I'm really liking it. I'm very early on, but
God, and this was like everything about this is so up my alley. So definitely let me know what you think about it. Like the cover, you can see like this kind of space background, and there's like an octopus looking thing in space. Oh man, this is so my jam.
Yeah, and I was really excited because I was looking up just like biracial authors in the sci-fi space, because I was just like, I'd love to read from more people who have like that background, and also perhaps are really trying to use that background in their writing and inform their writing. And this author popped up, so yeah, I was very excited to see her. And yeah, so far so good, and I will report back because I think I'll be finishing this one pretty quickly.
All right.
And then to round out what I've been just engaging with, I have been watching, there's a YouTube channel called Channel 5. This person, I think he has this very small team. They do some like news coverage. Basically, they've done some really great on the ground coverage of the LA protests. So if you are interested in seeing that, he interviews people who are there. He does a really good job of like explaining the context of what's going on and showing kind of that on the ground footage that I think television station news don't necessarily always show all of.
Right.
And he also has these sort of documentary-esque like interviews or sort of special interest videos that he'll make. I think just based on what interests him. And there was one that came out that Sam showed me about this woman who lives in the house that Walter White lived in the show. Like her house was the set essentially for Walter White in Breaking Bad. And it's incredibly fascinating because she talks about how at first, when the show wasn't super popular, the people would come to her house to like take pictures in front of it. And, there was the fandom and she thought it was fine. But there was an episode where Walter White, the main character of Breaking Bad, or one of the protagonists, I guess.
I know exactly where this is going.
He throws a pizza up onto the roof of the house in a fit of rage. And she said literally that episode changed everything, where I guess now people have, or at least at the time, people started coming to her house in droves and like throwing pizzas on her roof. That's when the fandom started getting more antagonistic towards her, because she was like, I would yell at them for not throwing pizza, like don't throw pizza on my roof. And it's a really fascinating story about fandom, about sort of what celebrity sort of attractions do to the local people who live there. And it was just really, really interesting. It's maybe 30 minutes. It's not too long. I would recommend anyone watch it, especially if you have seen Breaking Bad and you thought the show was neat. It's just a fascinating story, and not one that I had even ever thought of. So that was just a cool thing I watched recently. Yeah.
Have you ever gone to a place, like a real life place from a fandom? Or
yeah.
I'm
not super intentionally. It's kind of happened by accident. Like, I think when we talked about A Space for the Unbound back in like season 1 of Geeks and Grounds.
Oh man.
We talked about that anime pilgrimage and how especially for anime fandoms, that is a thing. For K-dramas, that's also a thing. I actually when I was a university student, my university was near a spot that was basically like known for one of the like romantic scenes in a K-drama. So I went there because it was just close by and I could walk there. It was like kind of on my commute to other things. So I've done like accidental visits where I happen to realize I'm there and I take a quick picture, but nothing official. What about you? I know like the Goonies house is in Oregon. They actually even talk about it in this movie. Have you done any of that?
One of my favorite books is Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut, Indianapolis homeboy. And he has an address for some of the main characters in Cat's Cradle. And I remember after I read that book, I was like, I'm going to go to this house and just like see it. and it didn't exist. And there was actually like a postal service worker that was like delivering mail nearby. And so I tried to like walk up and like just double check. It's like, hey, I'm like looking for this address. And I really scared this person. And that's when I learned postal workers are doing a job and they're in their space, and just, be considerate of that.
Just let them, yeah.
Hi, I'm looking for the Kurt Vonnegut house from this book. Is this address? And no. So I think that's the one that I remember like explicitly going to find. When I went to Japan, I did look for the KFC for the Satoru Goju breakup scene from Jujutsu Kaisen, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, I know. I have some friends who recently went to Japan, and the Kamurocho district in Yakuza, they went to the district in Japan. And so
cool.
like I know people who have done that. But yeah, I think what was really interesting was how a lot of these spaces typically are more public spaces. Another one referenced in this video is, I guess there's a set of stairs that goes through an alley in one of the more recent Joker movies, where there's like a dance. I haven't seen the Joker movie, so I don't know if I'm butchering this.
You're not missing anything.
Okay. I didn't think I was.
No.
But I guess there's a dance on a set of stairs that the Joker does. And so this community also, he went and talked to some members of the community, and they're just like, yeah, for some time we couldn't even go up and down the stairs in our own community to go grocery shopping because people were just crowding it, doing Joker sort of pilgrimage.
Joker dance moves.
Yeah. And so it's just really kind of a niche specialty topic, but one that I thought was interesting, especially considering the adjacencies of fandoms and how people online will start treating people in real life based on just their sort of fandom and what they think they're entitled to. So really interesting watch.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. What about you? I feel like I haven't had too much. I'm still like trying to rest and recover from Summer Game Fest and travel and stuff, but I feel like you've been busy.
I have been busy. Lots going on in life right now, but I have gotten through a couple of new things. So Expedition 33 continues to be amazing, continuing to be extremely overpowered for the state in the game because I'm just like enjoying the play so much.
Nice.
But a couple of new things on the radar. So one is the new Dimension 20 D&D show called Cloudward Ho, which is steampunk blimp-esque D&D game, band of miscreants getting together and trying to avoid pirates and governments and whatever else.
Nice.
For those of you, I know we have some people who watch these shows in the community. If you enjoyed Starstruck Odyssey, it feels like the spiritual successor of that. Aww. The first 2 episodes are great. Really, really enjoying it. Speaking of, we got to talk about this. It's not on the list, but I texted you earlier today because you had told me about Date Everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh
and
I don't know where my phone is, so I don't know what you said.
So I was ecstatic to see that a bunch of my dropout faves are voice actors in this show, including apparently Emily Axford is like the human in the apartment, who's like one of my absolute favorite performers. So it's like, okay, well, I was kind of on the fence, but now it's like I have to get it. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Nice. Yeah, I've read a little bit more about the origin story of this game, and it's really fascinating. I actually want to spend more time looking into it. But from what I know, I think this was made supposed to be, as many of these games are supposed to be, small, tiny, just like, let's do this for fun, not a super serious big release. We just want to make a game that features, and I think this was voice actors specifically who wanted to make a game and give their friends work, to do this stuff. Oh my God, I can't believe we're doing this. We're making a game and this is actually really, really hard. And there's a lot of really tough lessons. So there's like, I think some very significant challenges they went through, but I think it's really fascinating that this game, I think, originated as just a hobby project to give voice actors just something to like work on and do together. So yeah, I'm also very excited to play it. I'm very, very excited, but I haven't picked it up yet because I'm really trying to finish Expedition 33 before I get any other games.
You got some things on your to-do list, it seems.
Yeah.
A couple of things. I have started the Murderbot series. I remember I read that book last summer about this time. Got some positive notes on this from the community that people were big fans of this series. I watched the first episode and really liked it. It's a little bit different than the book, but not in a way that has any concerns yet. So I'll give that a bit more time. I did finish this morning the Mistborn Secret History, and I gotta say, I didn't realize this was written at the after the second trilogy of the Mistborn arcs, and so there's way more connections to the Cosmere than I was expecting, and I think it's kind of the prequel in many ways to the Ghostblood series or book that's about to come out. So I feel like very happy to have read this. And y'all, I love it when my brothers are interested in something that I'm into. My middle brother, who is not really a voracious reader, definitely not a Sanderhead, I don't know what we're called, has begun the audiobook of the first Mistborn. And so I've restarted. I'm back in the woods again. It's pulled me in. I'm getting back into it. There's just something about getting to hop into this world with a friend or family member that's just really special. So excited for that one.
Yay. Are we like all the Sander sons, gender agnostic?
You know what I mean?
We're the Sander sons.
The Sandersites. Yeah. We gotta. There must be a name for this.
I'm sure there is. There's probably some. I could imagine the fandom being like, no, we're like the World Seekers or the Cosmere Walkers. They probably have some very fantastical name, and I'm over here just yo, Sanderson.
The Coswalkers is pretty good.
Yeah.
I had a very fun moment. I was trying to get tickets for from a friend to see a show, and it was through an acquaintance to a person I'd never met. And this stranger, their Discord handle was something from a Radiant Order, a very niche reference. And so when I met them, I got to say strength before honor, radiance, and we immediate connection.
Oh my gosh.
So there you go.
Did you get a good discount on the tickets? You could be like,
I did not.
Come on.
And then I resold them for a fraction of the price because I won tickets to a different show. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, we'll just pass on the.
There we go.
Pass it on.
That's good energy for those tickets.
Yeah.
I guess, is that it for your pastry case
I think that's it. Yeah. So what do we got coming out?
So we've got 2 weeks that we're off. So I have 4 games that I wanted to just highlight as titles coming out while we are on our little break. All 4 of these are coming out on July 10th. I tried to find some that were on different days, but July 10th seems to be the day for indies for whatever reason. So we'll go through these relatively quickly. We have Everdeep Aurora. I am so excited for Everdeep Aurora. This is basically, think of the energy that Hollow Knight has with sort of the gothic sort of vibes, very atmospheric, a little bit dark, but still kind of hopeful and whimsical, and put that into a world that has no combat, and you're a kitten looking for your mom and digging deeper into this world called the Everdeep.
That sounds really cool. Really emotional, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. It's emotional, but you meet very whimsical, charming creatures along the way, and everyone has very fun animations. So cool. I think it's going to be probably a little emotional, but more about that sense of awe as you're going deeper and you get to discover stuff. Patapon 1 and 2. So this is Patapon Replay. So it's I think a remake of a rhythm game that came out before. I never played it earlier, but now it's out, both 1 and 2 on Steam, which is really cool. So for rhythm game heads, this is for you. Occlude is also coming out on July 10th. This one is fascinating. So think Inscription, card game, escape room style game, but with solitaire. So you're playing solitaire, and the further you get along in the game, weird things start happening, and there's a mystery you have to solve. Yeah, there's a free demo. I played this actually during the Steam Next Fest, sort of my post catch-up week, this past week. Yeah.
This looks really cool.
Yeah. I love solitaire.
Same.
I just something
the game
about
of a generation.
Yeah, it's just so good. And I forget the type of solitaire, but it's a different kind of solitaire than just the you have the 7 rows of cards or whatever. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to see if they have it on the Steam page, but they don't. But yeah, it's a slightly different version of like maybe the OG Solitaire that you might have played on your desktop computer. But it's really good. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Looks cool.
And then the last one is Islanders New Shores. Classic, just relaxing city building game where you build objects, you get points for them, you try to get a certain number of points to unlock more objects, and then you move on to the next island. This is a sequel to the original Islanders, one of my favorite just relaxing games to play, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I think Everdeep, Occlude, and Islanders New Shores all still have demos available if you're interested in just giving them a try. So that's it for releases for the next 2 weeks. Hopefully that'll keep you busy on top of Deltarune and any other games you're playing. And as always, subscribe to the newsletter at geeksandgrounds.com. That's where I will send links to everything in one handy spot that is algorithm free, so you don't have to worry about whether or not you missed it, because it'll be in your inbox.
There we go. That's the way to do it.
It is. Get away from the social media. That's my goal for this year.
I love it.
So the last brew for this month, the last little one shot. Serre, you've been doing so great with the summaries and the like overarching like what is going on with the game. I see
where this is going.
You are the best. You are, again, I said last week, best in the biz at summarizing these games in compelling ways. So if you wanted to get us started.
Sure. I gotta say, like, this game is absolute, like, in terms of time for pleasure, that like equation of how much time you're spending and how much pleasure you get, I don't know if there's a better game for the bargain. Serre is a game of relationship. It's a game of exploring what it means to be connected to another person, and it's so short and sweet. So essentially what happens is an alien crash lands into a greenhouse and you're uncovered as a younger woman. I feel like I'm struggling. I'm so much pressure. You follow two characters, Arlette, a human girl, woman, not sure about the age exactly, who's in a greenhouse when an alien crash lands inside that greenhouse. I'm saying Waka. Is that what you were saying?
I wasn't sure if it was like Waka or Waha or like Washa. So let's say Waka.
Waka. OAXA.
Yeah.
And the two of them begin having conversation. They form connection. They have some similarities in their experiences and how they approach the world. And it's them understanding, essentially over time, if their relationship is strong enough to survive an alien invasion, controlling murderous parents, and perhaps a trip to another planet itself.
There you go. You found it.
We got there.
I feel like you got there. Yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah, I felt the pressure at the beginning, but you.
Sorry, guys. We'll get there. We'll do better next time.
No, that was awesome.
But I gotta say, like, in terms of the stylization, this game was so cute to play through, almost like an illustrative style with like beautiful colors. The alien is almost like it looks like a bee, like an anthropomorphized bee. Yeah. And it kind of had like a like semi-anime look and feel to the character design. But I think the word that really stood out to me was cartoonish, like for characters that are so kind of lovable, there's like a cartoonish feel to them. So
yeah, I think like I never watched very much like Steven Universe, but it gave me like a Steven Universe energy as someone who only has seen a few episodes of it, and so I think I would agree, cartoonish in a very complimentary way. Not cartoonish like diminutive.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight because Adrienne, who is the lead developer of this game, released this after releasing a few other games that you may have heard of or already played, like In Stars and Time or Start Again, a prologue. Adrienne also recently announced Insert Disc 5, like the studio's next game, which is called Truth Scrapper, which looks amazing. I am just a big fan of everything they do. So this was honestly an excuse for me to also support and be excited about this Game Jam game, because this originally was Adrienne's first video game. It was made for I think it was like a Yuri visual novel game jam on itch.io. And again, just for folks who aren't familiar, itch.io is like another platform as well as a website where people can create games, share games, and participate in things like game jams. So make very tiny games in a very constricted amount of time. And Adrian mentioned that this was the first game that they made, the first collaboration with the Instars and Times composer, Studio Thumpy Puppy. So, and this was back in 2017. So this game has been sitting on itch for a long time. And I guess the community for Insert Disc 5 said, we want this game out on Steam so more people can play. And so that's why this got an official Steam release so much later, because it released this year. But it came out in 2017. So it's like a little bit of a revival of this game, which is really cool.
I had such a delightful time playing this, and I think it took me like 25, 30 minutes to get through, which is kind of like why it's so hard to summarize. It's like, well, how do you talk about this game in such a way that doesn't give away the entire thing in 2 minutes? What was your like emotional feeling playing through it?
Honestly, warm and fuzzy, kind of all the way through. I think this game is really short, and I think if you breeze through it too quickly, you may feel like, oh, there's not too much there. Like it's just like a happy little game. And I guess, you know, that's fine if that's how you played it. And it's like, yeah, it's a happy little game. But I think if you do sort of pay attention to what these characters are saying, some of the way that the art is emoting, there is a surprising amount of depth in this game. So it's warm and sweet and fuzzy, but it gives you a little bit to chew on, which I think is really cool, especially like I think I took about 40 minutes to play, but that's because I was recording and like reading out loud everything. So I took a little bit like longer just because it was recorded. But yeah, I don't know. I think I just was very happy when I played this game.
Yeah.
And it felt low stakes in a way. I don't know. It's not like there wasn't conflict. It wasn't like I didn't care about what was happening, but it also didn't feel so emotionally investing that I was tired or exhausted or I needed a break, which was really nice.
Yeah, it was almost like we talked about this before with the show Harley Quinn on Max, like a cartoon where it's like it's a queer story between like Harley and Ivy, these kind of iconic DC Dark Horse characters. And the creators of the show were like, we want there to be tension, we want there to be conflict, but we never want people to be worried about like whether or not their relationship is in jeopardy, because that has been done already. And like having a show that is not a heterosexual romance where you just are cheering for, and you're not like, you don't watch Home Improvement afraid that like these two characters are going to like split up, right? Like some shows aren't about that. And that was kind of their goal. That's kind of how I felt playing this, where it was like, there's obviously conflict. You can tell from the first scene that like things are going to get spicy, that like one character is not being entirely truthful. And so, you know, there's going to be conflict, but like the tone of the game never made me have any doubt that this was going to have kind of like a happy ending. And that like let me kind of relax a little bit into the experience.
Yeah. And it's just, short, sweet, Yuri, like that's all this game is. And like in the best ways.
Yeah.
Let's dive in then. You already mentioned a little bit about, we have Arlette and what do we say we're going to pronounce it as?
Waka.
Arlette and Waka. I guess let's dig into the characters a little bit more before we get into the deep dive. Arlette, human, pretty timid, I would say, when you first meet her. Interesting because her first reaction to something is like, let me get you some tea. To have this strange alien in your greenhouse, and she just wanted to get some tea. Any other impressions of Arlette, or just like things you wanted to highlight about this character?
I think you got to know her? Big Secret Garden vibes for me. Like when you see her in this space, it feels like disconnected from the rest of the world of Earth as we know it, like a little sanctuary kind of thing. And so there was like a degree of like perhaps isolation is the word. And so like something that I was just kind of noticing up front is like, well, this is a pretty young woman. Like, she completely by herself? Are we in a jungle right now? Like, and you get answers to these questions, but I think isolated is kind of a word that comes to mind when you first meet them.
Yes. Yeah. Disconnected was the word that I was thinking of. Isolated, I think, is
Disconnected.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really fascinating because at least from our first impression, she seems, otherwise sort of like a normal human being that you don't know why she's sort of in this spot in this greenhouse all by herself. So there was a point where the entirety of the game takes place in this greenhouse, and there was a small point in which I was like, are we actually on Earth, or is this like a little prince planet where maybe the whole planet is this greenhouse and I don't know, and I assumed
Yeah.
it was Earth. So there
Yeah.
was a little bit where even I was put into doubt because she was so isolated and disconnected, and I wasn't sure if my assumptions were right, which they were. We were on Earth,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and I think
yeah.
like too, and you mentioned this a second ago, the emotions, the emotional expression in the character art
Mm-hmm.
is really strong. And so like I was also having those moments of doubt, and like the thing that ultimately like got me to where the story wanted me to be was the slight tweak where it's like, oh, her face is indicating that she's hiding something. And it's like such
Mm-hmm.
a flash of a moment, but
Yeah.
that the game is brilliant in its ability to do that with both of these characters.
Yes, I think, yeah, the expressiveness of the art is something that I really appreciated, and I think that's for me what really pushed this game from like, oh, this is like a really cute game, to, oh, there's actually a decent amount here if you're willing to dig into it a little bit.
Yeah.
um so yeah, definitely agree with you there on the art and the expressiveness. Waka. What did you think of Waka? First impressions.
I don't know how you make an anthropomorphized bee cute, but it was like it is cute, and it's like everything about the way they engage, they communicate kind of telepathically. Like
Yeah.
I I just was kind of shocked by this, and there was this degree of, you used the word timidity, I think, earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You feel the same thing from Waka, but there's also this superiority because they are an invading alien that is just convinced that not only can they take over this planet, but like once they're there, like, oh, this is going to be pretty easy. And
Yeah.
it's almost like because they've already decided like off the jump that this is going to be easy, you can watch the timidity kind of shrink away, but you can
Yeah.
tell it's there. Like there's that same insecurity, maybe shyness is happening
Mm-hmm.
there. So I really liked that.
Me too. I think I really liked Waka felt kind of naively confident to me in a lot of ways,
That's
like
it.
almost childlike in the sense of like, you have not experienced things, and so you coming here sort of like putting up this facade of like, yes, I'm the invading alien, this is what I'm here to do, but it's like, this is your first time doing it, so you can kind of feel that tension there. And so this sort of like, it's not a blustering confidence, but it's definitely, yeah, like a naive confidence that Waka had that I thought was really charming. Um, Simply because even with the like, hey, I'm invading your planet, but I don't want to hurt any of you, and it's actually kind of small here. And so you see Waka kind of like trying to get sort of their bearings, like this isn't exactly
Yeah.
what they anticipated. And I think that whole initial impression was so fun. uh I laughed. I thought it was really cute, and it just made me like I was so endeared to that character from the jump. And I love that also, um, from the very beginning, Arlette there's a scene where Arlette looks at Waka and is like, oh, and you see the crush beginning almost immediately.
Yes.
And I thought that was so cute. I love that so much.
I feel like, I mean, we're gonna get into like the full summary of this game, but like when you've used the word first impressions and the opening flashes of this game,
Yeah.
gasp, like an actual gasp from me, because the game doesn't begin with watching an alien crash into a greenhouse. It doesn't begin with them drinking tea. It begins with no dialogue, kind of a
Hmm.
flash forward of things that are to come. and it's like the bee or Waka and Arlette like close to each other, closer to each other, kissing down on the ground, like Arlette down, and maybe like Waka like covering her breasts. Like you can't quite tell, and you also can't quite tell like is this like welcome, is this concerning, is this threatening? And like there's just enough tension with these like 5 still images that I was like immediately in.
Honestly, when I was playing it and I was just like, oh wait, I'm scared, oh wait, no, I'm not.
Is this sexual?
Hot?
Wait,
like
hot?
What is this?
What?
I'm confused. Am I supposed to be scared? Maybe both. This is good. Okay.
Confused, horny. What's going on?
I'm just like that mixture of feelings was so well done. It was perfect. It was so good. And and you know what? That's the beginning of the game. So let's like hop in and go through. So we have 4 chapters and then an epilogue. And so the first one after that flash, you get chapter 1. There's no title, but I personally just called it like the meet cute. This is where these 2 characters are meeting. Waka introduces herself. I actually don't quite remember. If you remember, let me know.
I don't remember
the pronouns were. But Waka introduces herself and just basically is like, I'm here to invade, take over your planet Earth. And the best part for me is Waka looks around and is like, I guess this is it. And walks around the greenhouse and thinks that's Earth.
Like that conversation is so funny. She's like, your planet is way smaller than I thought. And Arlette's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, yeah, I can walk across it really quickly. It's like, what? Yeah, just watch. And you see them like, I was like, in that moment, because we don't know anything about this alien culture, their technology, their abilities. So it's like, wow, maybe she's like ultra powerful and is going to like circumnavigate the globe.
Right, that's what I thought too.
And like it's going to be this like truly indomitable force. But no, they see the boundary of the glass house and walk to it. And they're like, see, I did it. It's like, oh,
that's it. And what I loved too is I forget exactly how it's worded, but you can see it in the wording and in the imagery where Waka just seems like a little bit upset and a little bit disappointed that this is kind of it. Like all of this work, all of this to go in and just you can reach your hands out and touch either side basically. And just the idea of that sort of big first conquering feeling that way just was really funny to me.
Well, also like that conversation, like the even this like moment of like, hey, what are you here to do? And like, I'm here to do this, happens after Arlette makes tea. Like,
yes,
alien crash lands into the greenhouse.
Yeah,
Arlette sees Waka. You can see there's like that immediate like illustration of like, oh, a crush is forming. And their first response is not to scream, not to run, not to do whatever else. It is to be like, oh, like, can I make you some tea?
Yeah.
That was so freaking cute. Like, I just loved that moment. And then going in from that to like, I can conquer your planet, and they walk across the greenhouse. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then like the follow-up, like it's a 3-act moment, right? Crash, make tea. I'm here to conquer your planet. Look how small it is. Arlette realizing the misconception that has happened, and then being like, well, I surrender.
Yeah, like, okay. You got me.
And like it's one of those things where like at this point, I don't know that we as the audience, this is what you were saying earlier, we don't really know what the story is with Arlette. Like maybe this is the entire planet and this is not really Earth. But the second you see the ship and you see that like there is a broken glass ceiling for this greenhouse, you're like, oh no, like she's lying.
Yeah,
She's
like
saying
there's definitely a building that this is in. So.
Yeah. And so it's like that, like this, it's cool because like for such a short game, from the jump, it plants the seed of like, oh, well, there's a relationship opportunity here, but one of them is beginning this relationship with dishonesty. Not that I necessarily blame her. It's kind of self-sacrificial to be like,
yeah, I'm like, she's doing this for, well, I
for
guess,
humanity.
yeah, you get a little bit of choice depending, I think you get like two options, but yeah, I chose the essentially more like, hey, I'm doing this because it protects the rest of the earth, so why not? um I also love that there's a moment, I think it's closer to the end of the chapter, where Arlette's like, oh, here, let's like, let me sort of reoffer tea, let's like have a sip of it just to calm nerves. And then Arlette realizes that Waka doesn't have a mouth to drink the tea with. And so there's this like panic moment where she's like, oh my gosh, I've just like insulted this alien that's come to invade. It doesn't have a mouth and I'm offering it tea. Now what is it gonna do to me? You know, just I thought that like panic moment was very funny and very
I
real and
agree.
told us a lot about her as a character, where it's like this little thing that hasn't even come to fruition yet. She's like spiraling already. So she, again, we learn a lot about her in just that one moment. And then we learn that Waka can smell the tea and get this sort of similar sensation or sense of what the tea is and enjoy it through scent anyways. So yeah.
Very, very cute moment. And like
Mm-hmm.
the way that the Waka describes how the tea makes them feel as they're like scenting it is
Yeah.
kind of the exact same way that we would describe drinking tea. And I thought that like
Yeah.
moment, this is kind of the whole thing, is like this game of connections. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's different, there's an opportunity for connection here. And I thought it was like a
Yes.
really subtle way to begin that motif and keep it going.
Yeah, agreed. So then we get into chapter 2, where sort of the first um, conflict, I would say, arises, or the first bump in the road, and that is Waka wants to go home, sort of celebrate the conquest with her parents or mom or something, who apparently is like the commander of the alien force.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the ship needs repair. So uh, Waka turns to Arlette and says, hey, can I crash with you for a little bit until the ship is repaired?
And the
She's like,
comms are down.
the comms are down. So yeah, there's no communication, but the ship will self repair within like a few days or something like that.
This was such a funny like this moment, and then how this all resolves I thought was incredibly funny, because
Yeah.
like it's 10 minutes later you're playing, it's like, oh, my ship's already better, and then 15 minutes later like, oh, my comms are back, and it's just like, oh, okay, cool. So this is
Yeah.
not going to be like this ongoing problem.
No.
And which I thought was very cute. And you get this really like, as they're learning about this and like,
Mm-hmm.
what are we going to do about it? You have this great moment to learn about how they're communicating with each other. And I love this because when there's the realization that there is no mouth, you also have the realization like, wait, how are we talking?
Right.
And is it like electrical signals or something that's coming
Yeah,
from Waka?
something
Is that how they
like that.
describe it?
Mm-hmm.
But Waka has a gem that is translating for both of them.
Right.
The thing that I loved was the like, well, the first thought is, let's turn off this gem and see what it's like. And they're both, this comes in two ways. In
Yeah.
communication, they're like, I couldn't understand what you're saying, but like, I really liked how it felt to communicate with you.
Yeah.
And I also, in this chapter, they talk about each other's look, and they basically say like, I like your look, like it appeals to me. And like, it's just, they keep coming back to this motif, like it's different, but I like it.
Yeah.
Very, very fun.
No, that's something that I picked up on as well. And what I really loved is that like the ways that this is a really specific example in the story itself, but Waka's voice without the translator is described as sort of this soft buzzing, you know, kind of like the bee. And I forget the exact description that Waka used for Arlette's voice, but just the way that Waka was like, I think it was like waves of water or something like that. There was something in the way that Arlette's voice was described where I was just like, man, you know that feeling where you meet someone and somehow you just know, like, whether it's romantic or platonic, you just know that you just appreciate them and somehow you want to like connect with them, and just, you know, that somehow you want them to be in your life. And that's kind of the feeling that these two have with each other. And it was just so beautifully done when they were describing each other's voices to each other that I was like, this is beautiful.
So many cute moments.
Yes. So you have this. But I will highlight, though, I thought it was really interesting, and it's something that does get brought up later in the game. but the power sort of dynamic between an invading a person who has the ability potentially to destroy the planet, and then another person who's like, I'm really attracted to you, but also you have this power that is like a bit imbalanced, not in my favor.
Yeah.
I think at this point in time in the game, I was thinking about that in the sense of like, all right, I think there's that power imbalance that we're not really addressing right now because it seems like it's not really in play, but it kind of is. And there's also the sort of, I don't know what to call it, maybe the trope where if you have the power to hurt me, like it's a little bit hot. You know what I mean? Like that kind of like attractiveness
Yeah.
to that sense of danger, which I don't think that was danger, but there's, I think, a dynamic of the potential here that maybe underscores a little bit of it. And maybe that's what I'm reading into it,
No,
but that's what I felt.
I think that's a really interesting dynamic. There's like a strange superiority that Waka feels as this kind of like technologically advanced invading force, feels powerful. This person is already surrendered, like I'm in control. But it's like surrendering to your nephew when they point a toy gun at you, and
Right.
like you have all of this experience to be like, well, I know that this is actually not a threat to me, and or at least I have enough information to know that this person is out of their depth. Like they don't know enough about what's going on around them. And like that naivete puts Arlette in a position of power. And like, it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
It almost reminds me of like, it's not this. So like, don't read too much into what I'm about to say, but like, it's almost like when you hear about a 40-year-old that's dating like a 20-year-old, it's like, yeah, it's legal, but like just the imbalance of like experience between these two puts this person in a weird like superior power dynamic.
Right.
And like this kind of comes back to bite them, but like I thought it was like such a strange, like both of these people are feeling superior thing.
Yeah, there's like, I couldn't quite put it into, and I still don't have the words for it, but the whole time, at least in this chapter particularly, and maybe chapter 3, before sort of the truths start to come out, I felt like there was this interesting power, like not power struggle, but there's a dynamic between the two that is more than just, oh my gosh, we think we're cute and we're like attracted to each other. It's like, no, the situation that put you here is one of conquest. So that's like not to be disregarded.
Yes.
But then also you, Arlette, the human, are also hiding these things from the alien who thinks they conquested the earth, but you know they didn't. And so now you have this like you said, the feeling of superiority, or like, you know, something that they don't, that you potentially could hold over them if you needed to. And I think there is this sort of struggle there that is subtle, but it's there. And so
I think like, let's just hang on this point for a second, because I'm going to kind of skip ahead just a bit, but we'll come back. But as this theme or motif gets explored, and Arlette realizes just how unaware and unprepared Waka is to conquer the world, that leveraging of Waka's ignorance almost becomes protective. Oh no, there isn't anything outside of this room. Don't worry about it. Oh my God, like this person's parents kind of maybe sent them to die. And like, it's almost like as Arlette puts the pieces together, like maybe at first it's a little bit of a like, ooh, I get to kind of like flex some power. It does shift to become protective. And like how this game in such a short amount of time is able to complete that emotional arc is wild.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's really, really amazing.
We got to talk about the next chapter though.
It's so good.
The next chapter, Arlette and Plants, you get a great conversation about where they are, the environment around them, the appreciation of the greenery, which also, you know, it's a bee. Like bees pollinate plants is an important part of the life cycle. Like there's a natural symbiosis here. You get to the point where these two have clearly expressed some degree of like feelings of attraction for each other, and they get closer and closer, and then you get like a dialogue option. and it is the best dialogue option
Yeah.
I have ever experienced. It's like, kiss her, exclamation point, quick, kiss her, exclamation point, exclamation. Like, it was just like this very cute way to be like, lean into the romance, have fun with this, don't take it too seriously, just have fun.
Yeah. And I think what prompted a lot of this moment, I think I'm trying to remember exactly the conversation, but Arlette is talking about how we learn a little bit more about where Arlette is feeling less sure of herself and has maybe been subjected to some bullying in the past, feeling ostracized from her peers. It's why she's in this greenhouse by herself. And so we have this vulnerable moment where Arlette, even though she's not telling the whole truth to Waka, she's starting to be vulnerable about like the stuff that she's struggled with, and how there's a line that actually I thought was really heartbreaking, where she says something about how people don't want me around, but the plants need me. So that's why they want me around. And the way she says it and the way the line's written implies that the plants only want her around because she also keeps them alive. Like, that's kind of how it's framed. And that was so honestly just really sad to read. Oh God, it broke my heart.
I totally agree. It's like such a small moment and like one line of dialogue on one flash, but like between that and the illustration of that moment, it's like, oh, they're like, the depth of Arlette's loneliness is very real. And we don't know anything about the world outside of this room, but like you can tell that it has not been kind to her.
Yeah.
But then we get the kiss.
And
the comparison that we get from Arlette on this is like, it's like kissing your teddy bear, because she realizes in the moment that there is, again, no mouth. And so they kind of nuzzle or whatever. And I can't read my handwriting. Something like, when compared to his teddy bear, because this teddy bear knows all of your secrets and worries, and like you get to like have that cuddly moment anyway.
Yeah.
That was so cute.
Well, and I think that goes to the point of connection isn't just to feel like you have things in common with people, or even if, we have differences, but we still get along. It's the ability to, despite your flaws, feel like people are still willing to connect with you. So despite the things that are potentially, quote, wrong with you, that people still care. And so I thought, especially after her sharing that and then feeling that connection and having the moment with Waka, it was just so beautiful. I loved it so much.
Fully agree. It is about this moment, however, that we get interrupted. The comms are live, and this conversation goes bad. Basically, Waka's mom has called. We are seeing this from the perspective of Arlette, so we don't know what's being said, but you can tell that it's not going well. You can tell that like Waka's shoulders have kind of fallen, and it's a terse conversation. It's pretty short, but the output of that is Waka kind of goes over to the edge of the greenhouse, and we switch to Waka's view to see, oh, we're actually in a massive cityscape, like a la New York City, and this is a greenhouse maybe on top of a building somewhere. And like, the truth has now been told. The planet is huge. There's no way this single creature is going to be able to conquer it, given what they know about themselves. And the realization of like, again, like, have I been sent as like a punishment, or like since my death here, like what's going on? The feeling of betrayal that Waka feels, that Arlette didn't tell them what was going on. Like, it's one scene, it's one image, there's no dialogue, and you immediately feel like all of that come down.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It is. And we have this moment that, oh my gosh, it just gave me a knot in my stomach, because this is where Arlette and Waka have sort of their first fight with one another, confronting one another about, first Waka's, essentially saying like, hey, this is not just you. It's not just this greenhouse. There's a whole planet out here. And Arlette really goes for the jugular on this one. I
was pissed at this response.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking actually, what was it, about the character Leanne a little bit with this moment, because this, when we played Extreme Meat Punks last week, because there's a moment where Leanne feels like almost out of the blue just kind of lashes out at another character, at Brad, and you're just like, what is happening? That is how I felt with Arlette, with Waka. I was just like, I know that you have a lot of your own hurt, and like you are just, it seems like you are just kind of all of it stacking on each other, and you're just using this as an opportunity to lash back out at the person that you can hurt because you know them that well. But I hated it. I was like, you're being cruel intentionally right now.
I hated it. And I also was struck by a meme that has been popularized over the last couple of years. It's like, I support gay rights and gay wrongs. And that's what I kept thinking. So like the conversation after like this realization happens is like, Arlette acknowledges that she lied.
Yep.
She blames Waka's mom for putting her in this position. She calls Waka pathetic. Then she starts criticizing herself as pathetic in what my perspective feels like trying to generate sympathy. Like it doesn't feel real to me. And then she apologizes. Yes. And like that felt like I am seeing a flaw somehow in this 30-minute game. I'm seeing a character
in this 30-second moment.
Yes. Yeah. I'm seeing a character that has felt hope, has lost hope, is not perfect, is very flawed, is not like some evolved, like emotionally like reflective person that is like lashing out and is also expressing their truest, most vulnerable self in a way that, to be honest, I kind of envy, in a way that like I don't think I am often able to do. Like I don't know how this writer and game creator was able to make all of this get packed into this quick moment, but like holy cow, incredible.
Yeah. It's honestly, I will say, I love In Stars and Time, and you can see the character. I think Adrian's strength as a writer is character moments and characterization, and it's incredible to see just how much you can fit into, again, 20 minutes of gameplay. This whole everything. I feel so close to these characters. I feel like I know them and I care about them with just these little bits. We got to get you playing In Stars and Time at some
I'm
point.
looking at you again, Final Fantasy VII remake people, for making these 100+ hour games that don't need. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's true.
Coming back. I'm pulling it back.
You do not need over 100 hours to get us to care. Serre, Expedition 33. I mean, both of those in the first 30 minutes, which Serre it's all 30 minutes, but you know. You have 30 minutes and you should be able to be invested, I feel like, in really strong character-driven stories. You shouldn't need more than 30 minutes to care.
And it's like you get this whole cycle of hope within this short amount of time, because like the next part of this conversation is the two of them talking to each other and envisioning what life would be like if they lived in like a little house together somewhere out in like
far away,
field, somewhere far away. And it's just like, like, how are you communicating this beautiful, poignant story and relationship in like this consolidated moment? Granted, we don't know the life cycle of these bees. Maybe it's very short, like real life bees. Who knows?
Gosh. I hope not, for Arlette's sake.
Agreed.
But yeah, I think so here is the moment, because I wasn't entirely sure when they started talking, where I think Arlette is asking, like, well, what would you like? You know, and Waka's just painting this beautiful picture of life out on a planet with a tea shop. And I'm like, but say it. Say you want Arlette there. Like, come on, explicitly invite Arlette to come.
Let her know.
Just let her know. Because for the first part of that conversation, they don't explicitly say, like, I want you to be there. It's just, wouldn't it be nice? And the whole time I'm like, finish it.
Yes.
But I love that while I characterized Arlette as timid, and I feel like she isn't as timid as we initially may have assumed her to be, because she is the one who says, and what if there was a human there to keep all the dangers away? Like, she is the one who brings it up and puts herself in the position of saying, I do want to be there with you. I want to be part of this journey. And I was like, oh, I was so happy, because again, when we first met her, I did not think she would be the person to do that.
I agree, and I loved it. It's like getting to see a kid graduate kind of moment. Like,
yeah,
oh, like even people who have to fight like real, concerns about shyness and anxiety, people who have been hurt in their past, like they can still like have those moments of like recognizing they want something and to advocate for it. And it like felt so good to watch that cycle happen and that resolution happen.
Yeah, especially considering again the fact that it seems like, and the read that I had was she pulled herself away from every other relationship, and so she had removed herself, and so the fact that she's choosing to insert herself back into a relationship with someone, yeah, super incredible moment. Definitely
Totally agree.
proud parent graduation type feeling for sure.
Yeah.
And then we get a really charming, beautiful epilogue.
And it's like it's really long. It takes like a long time to get through this epilogue. So be prepared, like dig in, have a cup of coffee ready. You're gonna be up all night with this one.
Yeah. It's like 2 images.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you're right. It is 2 images. It is in fact 2 images.
But they're 2 beautiful images. Very good, beautiful
Not
images.
only artistically, which is definitely true, like the colors and the composition of these pieces is really beautiful, but the emotional reality of seeing like, wait a minute, there are 2 moons in the sky. This is an Earth. Wait a minute, what's going on with this color palette? Is that a little tiny, the corner of a tiny house that I see? And it's like,
and they're cozied up. They have tea. They're by, I think, a fire, if I'm remembering correctly. It's just the perfect happy ending, which is what I came here for. I just want both of them to be happy.
I think like the fact that we have spent as long talking about this game as I spent playing it is a testament.
Maybe a little longer.
In fact, I think it is longer. Is such a testament to how much is communicated in this game so efficiently. Like it's just it's astounding to me. And like I'm to your point, I know that like when I've played the demo of In Stars in Time, I was like, the text speed just like really took me out of it. But like the fact that I could just make the text autofill in with this and I didn't feel that problem in this game is like, maybe I need to check out In Stars in Time.
I know. If that option isn't there for In Stars in Time, I might just DM Adrienne and be like, all right, you got to patch this in so that
for this one guy who just like really wants to play it, but like this thing is driving me crazy. But I don't think I've ever had a more like powerful journey on a shorter game. Like what was the one that we played in maybe February, the itch game with like the Dark Queen?
Oh, yes. The Dark Queen Morthal,
yes.
I think. Yeah.
Like, that was like a similar thing. It was like a very short game where you kind of go on this emotional journey, but like it's not a journey that makes you feel tension and then really good at the end. Like it's more of a thought-provoking mini game. This is something that like takes you on a whole emotional journey. At the end, you feel better about life.
Yeah.
How do they do that? That's amazing.
Yeah. I felt like I had played part of this game and immediately was like, all right, this needs to be on our one-shot list. Has to be the end of the month. Because no matter what happens, I know this will finish us out on like a nice feeling.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Success.
Yeah. And again, I would say for anyone who's listening and who enjoyed this game, I highly recommend In Stars in Time. I do agree a little bit with the feedback that it can feel grindy because it is a time looping game RPG where you do have to do battles. It gets faster the more you play. I will say that, like, you pick up things that allow you to skip the battles, but it does take a little bit to get there. So there's that. But if you love good, like, well-written characters in their flaws, in their like hopes and dreams, Insert Disc 5 is probably one of the best right now. And I would say this game is like the perfect introduction to that.
Absolutely incredible. I know you did a lot of housekeeping already, but any other things we need to remind the community before we call it a day?
No, other than just I'll reiterate it one more time because we were teachers and we know repetition is a good thing. So again, 2-week break. We'll be back July 15th with Deltarune Chapter 3 discussion. And then the following week, the 22nd, will be Deltarune Chapter 4. So July is Deltarune month. It's my birthday month, so I am forcing you to all do this with me.
And you have to like it. You're not allowed to dislike this one. It has
it's
to be S tier.
Okay, side note, have you seen sort of the meme or the format on TikTok where it's like, here's my boyfriend, he's gonna talk about his plants right now, and you better listen, and you better like it and comment at the end. That's kind of what I feel like I'm doing for Geeks and Grounds, where I'm like, here I am, we're gonna play Deltarune, you better like it and comment at the end.
I'm just a girl standing on a podcast, holding out a game to you, hoping that you'll love it as much as I do. And I don't want to hear it if you don't.
Exactly. No, again, if you don't like it, that's okay. But you know what? Let's have a discussion about it. I'll invite the discussion. But yes, so Deltarune for July. I was a teenage exocolonist for August. And yeah, I think that is it. We're already over halfway through the year, which is kind of wild. We like hit that point. So I don't know if it's too early, but I feel like it never is, because it's always good to have these reminders. We start our voting and our nominations for the vote in November. No, wait, October, because we vote in November.
We're close.
We're getting backwards design here. So since we nominate games for the next year in October, it's already time. Start thinking about the games that you would love to play and discuss as a community. Put them in the Discord if it helps you just keep track. I keep track of the stuff that's nominated. Write it on a notepad. Write it in your game journal. But that's something to start thinking about, just tentatively, because we are getting close. It will come fast. So, yeah.
Well, thanks so much as always for joining us out here at Geeks and Grounds. Even if you're a busy little bee or a really consumed plant keeper, I hope you're able to find some people that you get to be vulnerable with and go on some emotional journeys with.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Yep. Bye.